Hey, good evening, folks. Welcome to concert night at Common Ground on the Hill Tradition Week 1. This is our final concert in our first week. We've got 2 more weeks coming, but tonight is the culmination of the staff that we've had working hard online virtually all week long. We've got music coming from as far away as Nova Scotia. So, get your favorite drink in your hand and sit down and have a good time and share this. Let people know that this show is going, and it's free on YouTube. Glad you could make it. And we're going to start off tonight with something that I think we need in our lives right now. I mean, we really need this. The world is pretty weird right now. It's pretty dark. But what we need to come out of the darkness is some magic. And we have magic tonight with Dave Solmon.
Hey, it's great to be back with everyone here tonight. And I'm excited because we had a great magical night Wednesday night for Appalachian Night. And I have some new magic to start us off here tonight for Blues Night. You know, I love all kinds of music, but I have a heart for blues. In fact, my wife, Mrs. Thoman, and I, we love blues, and we love Common Ground on the Hill. Although one thing I do not love is this hat when it's flat. In fact, people wonder why I no longer wear this hat. Well, a magician normally would have a rabbit in there. And, some have said that my hair ate my hair. So I don't pull a rabbit out of this hat. You know what I like to pull out of the hat, everyone? A hat. Hey, I'm going to get silly with you tonight here and laugh a little bit. In fact, I'm going to send all of you a thought in regards to tonight. Here it comes. Did you catch it? Because I was thinking we would laugh out loud. Oh, there's one final thing you need to know about this hat. That. And this is the rest of my show, everyone. This takes about 5 minutes. So I just called a lot of that, which somehow just keeps coming out of my hat. In fact, last year, when my Goldilocks came out of my hat, I do remember one thing, everyone. I remember Mr. Guy Davis himself not putting on my hat, but those Goldilocks like that. I'll never forget that guy. That was a fun night. So let me go ahead and make that flat. In fact, the benefit of having a show here tonight like this, everyone, is the fact that we can get together for some up-close magic. On a stage, you would never have an opportunity to see magic right before your very eyes. In fact, I always get a request when I'm seeing friends up close, which I'm going to let you see up close right now, everyone. You might have an interest for what I have in my hand here. My magic class this week and in week 3 learn that magic is as old as the Egyptian pyramids. In fact, it's our $1 bill that has the pyramid. You don't find the pyramid on a 5, a 10, a 20, or a 100. It is only on the 1. But everyone, no camera tricks here, just a little bit of magic. Not using our nation's eagle, happy July 4th, but the pyramid. So I'm going to let you stare at that pyramid for a moment. It's my hope that that pyramid tonight might create the spell we need for you to see that. In fact, when I first met Walt about performing magic at Common Ground on the Hill, it was at the Carroll County Public Schools Cultural Expo in 2018. And Walt saw this. He saw ones Yes, maybe I should retire. But here's why I can, everyone. Yes, 5 ones are now $500. But again, no camera tricks here at all. This is why it is a spell, because you see the fronts and backs. But know this, everyone, that it is magic. There you go, everyone. So I hope there's some virtual applause going on out there for that. And I will, if I ever have, we have an advanced magic class, so if I ever learn a secret that would perhaps help me make the ones stay $100 bills, you know I'll be teaching that at Common Ground on the Hill. I'm so excited. The 26th year of Common Ground on the Hill. Last year, their 25th anniversary, the Art of Magic was added to Humanity Arts, and it's so great to be back with students. This week, we had a great week. Week 3 coming up, another basic class and advanced class. In fact, when I talk with my students, I mention to them that my first magic show was back in 1976. I was 11 years old. And I tell them how I learned the ropes of magic. In fact, everything that year was red, white, and blue. It was our country's bicentennial. So I thought to celebrate our nation's birthday tomorrow, I would show you the ropes using these 3 colored pieces of rope. In fact, I like to tie knots. I was in Scouts, and I learned how to tie different types of knots. In fact, the reason I love tying knots is having people guess what kind of knot it is. Well, let me tell you what it's not. It's not an overhand knot that's holding these 3 ends together. That knot is not a square knot, although it may look like that. It's not a granny knot. Now, why is there a granny knot and not a grampy knot? You know, there's a granny knot, but not a granddad knot. You know, it's not a waist knot, a want knot, or a forget-me knot, everyone. What I have tied here today are not knots. Why is it a not knot? Watch. What a great way to celebrate our country with togetherness. In fact, during these trying times, I think it's especially important that we remember the importance of togetherness. And more importantly, these colors, the red, courage. Yes, that's bravery under fire. The white, the purity. We have to do what's good. And blue, that justice to do what's right. Why? Because without any of that, everyone, we never have our freedoms. Happy July 4th to everyone out there. You know, at the beginning of this program, I don't want to not forget to tell you about the hat and the bunny rabbit, because even though there's not a bunny rabbit that comes out of that top hat, you need to know in our home we have more pets than people. We have 2 dogs, a cat, a bird, and a bunny. And since I'm here in my home theater, and since my bunny rabbit is litter trained, she runs around here like a cat would, I thought we would find my bunny rabbit to end tonight. Now, sometimes I make a bunny rabbit by sculpting it into an animal. Or I might get a little silly by making a bunny rabbit look like a hat. But tonight, I want you to know something special about my bunny rabbit, because we have traveled all over the state of Maryland performing, and I always take good care of her. You know, a rabbit in nature likes to burrow in a small dark place, so she travels very safely in here, to include a toy carrot. But I can't find Donatello using a toy. Tonight, I use that balloon. Keep your eyes on that balloon. I want everyone here, before I go, to say hello to Donatello. Donatello, welcome. Hey, everyone. How about that? Everyone, this is a family pet. This is indeed a girl bunny. Her full name is Danny Donatello, and you can tell she's a girl because look, she has her eyeliner on tonight. Hey, we've had a great time here, Donatello and I. I hope you enjoyed the close-up magic, a lot of that coming out of my hat. And I look forward to performing again during the tradition weeks. Hope you all tune in to see some more magic and enjoy the blues night tonight. I'm ready for some blues, everyone. Let's get going with it.
Well, all right, Dave Solmon, thanks for that magic. You know, your rabbit with the eyeliner, it could have been Mick Jagger, however. It could have been. I'm not sure that Mick Jagger would fit in that case, but, and by the way, it's not blues night. There will be some blues night, but hey, everybody gets the blues anyway. So there we go. Thank you, Dave. And remember, I'd like folks, all of you to remember that all of our performers tonight are available to give you concerts on Zoom. And also a lot of them have recordings and books, etc., for sale through the Common Ground store and also, of course, on their websites. But you can check out the Common Ground store and we can arrange to ship their music and their words to you. Our next performer has been coming to Common Ground for an awful long time, and yet he's not that old. He started off early, and he's been running sound for people for a long time now, actually. As I read his bio, over 11 years worth of sound. He learned a lot of it right here at Common Ground under the tutelage of our revered Jim Bieneman and Mike Atherton from out in Montana. And he's now enrolled at the Berklee School of Music in recording technology. He's just retired from the fire department, which you're gonna be able to figure that out, that he must be retired when you see his hair, because I've never seen a fireman with hair like this. And if you ever see this guy walking around with a glass, you might want to guess that in that glass is probably whiskey. And that's the name of his band. Make welcome Phil Speas.
Well, howdy. Yeah, so we're probably whiskey. We're missing one of our members. He couldn't make it tonight, but accompanying me is Frank on bass, Frank Sylvester. I'm gonna lead off with a song, and then we're gonna take it out with one that we wrote. This song, though, is by Jason Isbell. Last year, we lost a member of our Common Ground crew that was really near and dear to me, and this song always makes me think of at least last year. So this song is for Eileen. Said, Andy, you're better than your past. Waited me and drained her glass. Cross-legged on a bar stool like nobody sits anymore. Said, Andy, you're taking me home. Knew that she was sleeping alone. I'd carry her to bed, sweep up her hair from the floor. I'd slept with her before she got sick. I'd never hear the end of it, but she don't have the spirit for that now. We drink these drinks and laugh out loud, complain about the weekend crowd, and try to ignore the elephant somehow. Somehow. Said, Andy, you crack me up. Seagram's in a coffee cup. Sharecropper eyes, her hair almost all gone. Drunk, she made cancer jokes, made up her own doctor's notes. Surrounded by her family, saw that she was dying alone. I'd sing her classic country songs. She'd get high and sing along, but she don't have much voice to sing sing with now. We'd burn these joints in effigy, cry about what we used to be, and try to ignore the elephant somehow. Somehow. I buried her 1,000 times, giving up my place in line, but I don't give a damn about that now. Well, there's one thing that's really clear to me: no one dies with dignity. We just try to ignore the elephant somehow. Try to ignore the elephant somehow. We just try to ignore the elephant somehow. All right, well, something a little bit more positive and upbeat. Being stuck and trapped inside for so long with nothing but myself, I wrote a song. Well, I wrote actually a whole album. This week, Probably Whiskey is finishing up getting everything set up. We're going to be doing a Kickstarter for our upcoming album. That's our first full-length studio album being recorded at home, so we'll be starting a Kickstarter for that. And then also 2 weeks ago, I released my second solo album that's available on pretty much every streaming platform you can think of. So if you would like to go check that out, just search Philip Speas wherever you go. And for my students this week, we had a lot of fun. We all taught each other and sat down and looked at how to live stream professionally and live stream effectively. So hopefully this is coming across good, or else that might have come off bad. Spent a whole week teaching them. Anyways, so this song is called Yet in These Days, and hopefully it brings us all together, and hopefully it gets stuck in your head, because it's meant to make everybody happy. Alone he lays a card beside the table, a machine to his heart. It beats along with a tube slid down his throat for ventilation. Isolation, an answer never found. Yet in these days we can be together. Yet in these days set the saber down. Yet in these days bring love and compassion and close the distance that's in our world. Pressed face down, his hands cuffed behind him, with 3 knees, one upon his neck. His dying cries are, "Help me, I can't breathe." The same cry heard many times before. Yet in these days we can be together. Yet in these days set the saber down. Yet in these days bring love and compassion and close the distance that's in our world. Down by the bridge you can hear a banjo, away from all of the dreams. He's returned to fight for the weary. Old Tom Joad has heard America's screams. Yet in these days, we and me together. Yet in these days, said to save her down. Yet in these days, find love and compassion and close the distance that's in our world. Yet in these days, we and me together. Yet in these days, said to save her down. Yet in these days, bring love and compassion and close the distance that's in our world. And close the distance that's in our world. Thank you all.
Hey, that's Phil Speas and probably whiskey. Probably whiskey. And he's at least old enough to be drinking whiskey now. I know that for a fact. Our next act is both a visual artist and a musician. It's a great combination. And Wayne has been with us for a number of years now. He makes some of the finest jewelry. His stuff is sold on Park Avenue and in parking lots of Grateful Dead concerts. That's in his bio. So, but I'd like to tell you something about him that he divulged one evening. He may be the only person who had the vision to take Jack Bruce, the bass player of Cream, to see the grave of Edgar Allan Poe in Baltimore. In fact, I think they spent a night there. So that's something to remember about this guy. Now, Wayne Werner has a special song that he produced last summer, and you're going to see it now, straight from the Alumni Hall Theater stage. This is really something to cherish. Wayne Werner. Who were those people? Who were they? Well, I don't know who they were, but they were led by Wayne Werner. And of course, they were all instructors at Common Ground on the Hill. That was last year. There wasn't a whole lot of social distancing, never was until this year. But let's hear it for Wayne Werner. Our next performer comes to us from all the way from Arizona. Now, he's not from Arizona originally. I believe he's from Wyoming.
Montana.
Montana. Well, you know why? That's right. You're from Wyoming, Montana. Yeah, that great place. But known Randy for a number of years now. He is the pastor at the Church of the Good Shepherd in Sahuarita on the border, in the borderlands. And there's a sister organization with Common Ground on the Hill. It's called Common Ground on the Border. And in January, you can go out to the borderlands and see what's happening there. Right now, the border's pretty much shut down. And Randy is here teaching with us about Samaritans and migrants at the border. And also, he will be co-teaching a class on migration in the Mediterranean next week. But at his very heart is music. And he runs a coffee house out there, and it's been said that one day he just may walk out into the desert and leave the food bank behind, you know, say goodbye to his parishioners and just play the banjo. Make welcome Reverend Randy Mayer.
All right. Hey, thanks. It's good to be with you all. Had a great class this week with students talking about Samaritans at the border and our humanitarian work that we do. We really are a place that's on fire right now here along the border. The border has been closed down. Migrants are unable to cross as asylum seekers right now, and probably permanently under this administration. We also have the border wall that's just being accelerated. Saguaros are just being plowed down. our beautiful desert, fragile desert, is being destroyed. We also just last week learned about the tragic death of a Latino man in custody, police custody in Tucson. And so that's been a real big story lately here. We had the pandemic. We had the pandemic that Arizona is spiking real high. In fact, my congregation, we had somebody die last week of the COVID virus. Just tragic situation. We also have, for the last 9 months, the miners in our community have been on strike. And they're unable to even get the mining company to come to the table. It's a group, it's called Grupo Mexico from Mexico. One of the richest people in Mexico won't come to the table and give a living wage to the miners. So I'd like to sing a song, We Shall Not Be Moved. It's quite simple, but in our time, in our place, it's really important to continue to sing and we had been going out to the picket lines and playing with the people every Sunday night for about 3 or 4 months. Sing along if you want to. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Fighting for our families, we shall not be moved. Fighting for our families, we shall not be moved. It's like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Fuertes, fuertes, fuertes somos ya. Fuertes, fuertes, fuertes somos ya como un árbol firme junto al río. Fuertes somos ya. No, 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 no nos moverán. No, 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 no nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río. No nos moverán. Unidos en la lucha no nos moverán. Unidos en la lucha no nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río. No nos moverán. No, 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 no nos moverán. No, 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 no nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río. No nos moverán. United in the struggle, we shall not be moved. United in the struggle, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. So I hope you all will stay united in this struggle. Wherever you are, we need to continue to fight together. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy Mayer. And, you know, folks, when we can travel again, I strongly urge you to go out to Arizona and witness the work of the Samaritans. It is amazing work. And we do hope that in the future, we will be able to help people who need the help. And we won't shut down. We won't be saying no when we should be saying yes. We are a land of immigrants. We are a land of brave people who have left places that weren't working out for them, and people who came to our shores and established this amazing country. We can still be amazing. We've got a lot of work to do. And thank you, Randy, so much for being part of this. And we'll see you next week as well. Randy Mayer. Our next instructor is a poet and writer. Barbara Morrison, who writes under the name B. Morrison, is the author of the memoir, Innocent, Confessions of a Welfare Mother, and 2 poetry collections, Here at Least and Terrarium. Her award-winning work has been published in anthologies and magazines. She provides editing services and conducts writing workshops. And she has quite a community of people following her work and working with her online and in person when we can do that again. Barbara's originally from Baltimore and now lives way up north, and she can tell you a little bit about that. But make welcome our writing instructor, Barbara Morrison.
Thank you, Walt. Yes, I'm in Brattleboro, Vermont now, which is wonderful. It's a little different from Baltimore, but I thought I was getting away from the heat and humidity, but no, not quite. So I have 3 poems that I'm going to read for you tonight. My books are in the Common Ground store if you're interested. The first poem I'm going to read is called Falling, and it is about falling, but it's also, I thought it'd be appropriate because so many of us feel like we've fallen down a rabbit hole lately. So, falling. I've taken to falling, tripping over curbs and uneven sidewalks, going down all the way, balance gone, falling as I was taught on ice, twisting to land, hands pulled close so I won't try to stop myself. Skating improved my balance, so I adapt faster when the ground goes out from under me, but also taught me when to give up, let go, and let myself fall. No heroics here. Falling isn't bad. I know how to get up. It's not looking where I'm going, just being in this moment, busy, distracted, senses overloaded, too much to hear and see and smell, and down I go again. Let me throw myself full force into this life, sink into this solitary and soul life, the only one I will know. I have a lot of friends whom I don't see very often, but when I do, it feels like we've never been apart. Like I have friends that I see at Common Ground every year, and every time I see them, it's like, well, weren't we just together last week? We're really still very close, even though we don't see each other that often. And this poem is about one of those friends. It's called Christine. 40 years of friendship. We cling to our coasts as white buildings cling to valley walls, connected by tenuous walkways. Sometimes we meet in the middle, Princeton, sometimes Seattle. Once we met in Portland at the end of the trail. Sharing a bottle of wine in our hotel room, talking as we once talked all night in Whiteford dorm, relating stories of friends far away or lost, who was still married after all this time and what that meant, we two who would never know. I think you said, it's having someone who remembers the things you do. After the light was out, we whispered between our beds, counting over the dead. And if life is so short, then what dreams we must give up, toss over the side like furniture dragged from Boston in covered wagons, lightening the load to get to the end. In the morning, ice glazed the city, twigs and stones encased in treacherous shells. We held each other's hands, slipping and sliding to the square. We stood and saw the glitter of Sunday's sun. We breathed the thin, sharp air. The journey has not ended. Ice melts, stone remains. You, I said, you do that for me. I'm going to read you one more. This is something that actually happened to me. I used to live on Greenmount Avenue in Baltimore, which for those of you who don't know Baltimore, it's a main artery, but like many roads in Baltimore, it separates 2 neighborhoods. So one side of the street is very poor neighborhood. There are drugs being dealt, streetwalkers on the corners. And then behind me in the other neighborhood, the houses are selling for $250,000. It's a very wealthy neighborhood. And my little strip of houses was like the no man's land in between. So it was a little bit dicey to be there. Sometimes my dog would scare away people who were trying to kick in the door, or I'd come out in the morning and there'd be a homeless person asleep on my glider. So I'd give them breakfast before they took off for the day. So this is a poem called The Door. Pounding on the door, heard in a dream, the bell finally gets me up to stumble down, throw the deadbolt, fling the door open. A dark man looms in the dark night, street empty, the city sleeping. Now I wake, suddenly cold. I think of my children upstairs. I think of my nightgown. I think I must be the stupidest person on earth. He leans close and says, "Your hedge is on fire." Not much, a small one. A cigarette probably started it. He's right. A bucket handles it. Only then thinking, how kind to stop his car and get out, knock on a stranger's door, not knowing what he'd face. I'm not saying throw open the door to strangers in the night, but if we don't, we might lose everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for being part of the Common Ground family all these years. And we're glad that even though you moved far away, you're still with us. Our next performer comes to us originally from the DC area. Actually, he's still from there. And
Yep.
In reading his bio, I didn't know this, but Larry was the leader of the legendary Ohio country rock act Flatbush, sharing the stage with New Riders of the Purple Sage, Richie Metlock of Blackfoot and the Outlaws, Roy Buchanan, and Little Feat. They were a touring recording act for 7 years in the late 70s and early 80s, and they're mentioned in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the History of Rock and Roll Cleveland exhibit. I've known Larry as a fine acoustic musician and instructor. First really ran into him at the Deer Creek Fiddlers Convention when he brought a number of his wonderful young students up. He's a great mentor and teacher to many, and we're really happy to have him on staff with us finally. We've been working at this for a few years now. So make welcome, Larry Rice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Walt. Yeah, I'm Larry. I live in Falls Church, Virginia, and not the first time teaching at the Common Ground, but I'm not a stranger to it. I mean, like Walt said, I've been, accompanying my students up there at the Deer Creek Festival and having a lot of fun. Some of them even won, have really fun. And but my dad and my stepmom are old friends of Walt, so I kind of knew of him through that. And then my daughter Lee and I, we competed at the Deer Creek Festival. And and we're in a band called the Big Cheese Band. You can find us on YouTube. We're on YouTube a lot, and also in Facebook. But Lee and I write songs together. And I was happy to see my brother, follically challenged magician who started it off, was really funny. So we share that, so I was so I wanted to write a song about it, and so we did. And so we came up with a song. It's called I Grew It While I Could. It goes like this. I'm as bald as a bean. I look like Mr. Clean, but I grew it while I could. I had long dark hair, but now it ain't there. I grew it while I could. When I see them look like a man. I take off my hat and show them that and say, son, grow it while you can. It used to be thick, but it fell out quick. I grew it while I could. It was long and black, but now it's on my back. I grew it while I could. When I started losing it, I shed some tears, but that's okay. It didn't grow away, 'cause it's growing out my ears. Some gals think it's sexy, others maybe not. If I could, you know I would, but for now it's all I got. I wear a hat now so I don't blind the crowd. I grew it while I could. It's gone without a trace, but now I've got more face. I grew it while I could. When I'm under the spotlight, all people see is my sheen. But it's a solar panel for my sex machine. I grew it, I grew it, I grew it, I grew it, I grew it while I could. I grew it, I grew it, I grew it, I grew it, I grew it while I could. Let it go to dreads, wear it in a fro. Break up with your barber, let it grow and grow and grow. Wear it in a top knot, wear it in a braid. Wear it in a mullet, in a gallon of pomade. Hey, from me. Just let your hair be and grow it, grow it, grow it while you can. Hopefully that made some of you smile and lighten these dark days.
Well, I was, wow, I was laughing the whole time, Larry. I think you have a hit on your hands or on your head. That's a great, great song. And it applies to so many of us here at Common Ground on the Hill. We're trying to change that. We're trying to get some younger folks in here who can grow it while they can. But thanks so much, Larry. That was wonderful. Our next performer, I first have to say that without Gordon's help, I don't think we could have become virtual this summer. He's just been an amazing friend and has pitched in on getting us happening. So great kudos to Gordon Roberts. You know, it's the kind of thing he didn't really have to do that. He just pitched in and became part of the team. Thank you, Gordon. Now, Gordon's got a couple things for us tonight. I don't know which comes first, but I should let you know that he's a fine guitarist. He grew up in England and moved to the States not long after growing up. He's been in the United States for years. He's a guitar expert, great guitar player, and he has a company that makes high-end electronic pickup equipment for the violin instrument family, and he can tell you more about that. He used to be with Eastman Instruments. He's the one that connected us with the Eastman sponsorship to begin with, and he's just a fine musician and a great guy. So make welcome all the way from Bowie, Maryland, by way of England.
Hello, it's nice to be here. I've been teaching ukulele this week, and I was looking for a ukulele song to play, and it seemed to me that I came up with this song, and it just didn't sound good on ukulele, so I'm going to do it. A lot of people at Common Ground are at a certain age, And we're going through or we're getting to this point where we can look back on our lives and see how things have turned out and stuff. And I was at Common Ground a year ago, and I was just sitting around, and as one does, on the chapel steps, and suddenly this thing came to me. And this song is sort of about a marriage, about raising kids and all this stuff, but it is very, very strongly influenced by what goes on at Common Ground, because I wrote it there. It's that same kind of feeling. So anyway, I sort of thought I would sing this for you tonight. I hope you can hear me okay. When springtime came knocking around our back door, the blossoms were falling like snow. We planted our worries at the end of the yard, and watched all our dreams start to grow. Then summer came knocking around our back door. The air hung like clouds in the sky. We toiled in our fields and we dug through our dirt. We never had time for goodbyes. We sang Mama Go Lightly, shine like the sun on the sand and the sea and the sky. Let's carry this romance to the end of our road. We'll head to the water and fly. Now fall's come a-knocking around our back door. Our friends fall like leaves from the trees. We turn and we look and we see the woods stacked. There's winter and smoke on the breeze. I sing Mama Go Lightly, shine like the sun on the sand and the sea and the sky. Let's carry this romance to the end of our road. Let's head to the water and fly. So come sit down beside me, rest for a moment, let the clouds circle high up above. We're only as lonesome as the rooms we leave empty, the ones that we fill up with love. Well, if winter comes knocking around our back door, the birds of the marshes have flown. We'll take all our heartaches on down to the water and leave them to drown on their own. Singing Mama Go Lightly, shine like the sun on the sand and the sea and the sky. Let's carry this romance to the end of our road. Let's head to the water and fly. Let's head to the water and fly. Thank you. So, anyway, so now we're going to get a little ridiculous. During my class this week, I run the ukulele orchestra, which usually is maybe, I think last year we had 15 people in it. And the whole idea of the ukulele orchestra, it has nothing to do with orchestral music or classical music. I mean, it could, but it doesn't. What it has to do is a bunch of people getting together with ukuleles and cracking each other up. And honestly, this is the most fun class I ever teach. It's just amazing. Last year was incredible. This year might have been even better, which is amazing since I only had 2 people sign up for it. But luckily, I had Ruth Perkins and I had Ken Mihalioff. I hope I'm saying that right, Ken. I got to know you really well this week, but I never learned how to pronounce your last name. So anyway, we ended up making a video, and we're going to go literally from, and I'm patting myself on the back here, from the sublime to the ridiculous. This is the Common Ground on the Hill, the Ukulele Orchestra. This is the premiere of the new video that we dropped right now. So go for it, buddies.
Daddy left home when I was 3. It didn't leave much to Ma and me. Just an old uke and an empty bottle of booze. Now, I don't blame him because he run and hid, but the meanest thing that he ever did. Before he left, he went and named me Sue. He must have thought that it was quite a joke, and it got lots of laughs from lots of folks. It seems I had to fight my whole life through. Some gal would giggle and I'd get red. Some guy'd laugh and I'd bust his head. I tell you, life ain't easy for a boy named Sue.
Well, he grew up quick and he grew up mean. His fists got hard and his wits got keen. Roamed from town to town to hide his shame. But he made a vow to the moon and stars. He'd search those honky-tonks and bars and kill that man who gave him that awful name.
Gatlinburg in mid-July. Just hit town and my throat was dry. I thought I'd stop and have myself a brew. At an old saloon on a street of mud, there at the table, dealing stud, sat the dirty mangy dog that named me Sue.
Well, he knew that snake was his own sweet dad from a worn-out picture that his mother had had. He knew that scar on his cheek, his evil eye. He was big and bent and gray and old, and he looked at him and his blood ran cold, and he said,
Sue. How do you do? Now you gonna die. Yeah, that's what I told him. And I hit him hard right between the eyes. He went down, but to my surprise, came up with a knife and cut off a piece of my ear.
He busted a chair right across his teeth, and they crashed through the wall and into the street, kicking and gouging in the mud and the blood and the
I tell you,
fear.
I fought tougher, man, but I really can't remember when. He kicked like a mule and he cut like a crocodile. I heard him laugh, then I heard him cuss. He went for his gun, but I drew mine first. He stood there looking at me, and I saw him smile.
And he said,
This world is rough. If a man's gonna make it, he's gotta be tough. And I knew I wouldn't be there to help you along, so I gave you that name and I said goodbye. I knew you'd have to get tough or die.
yeah, he said.
And it's that name that helped you make you strong. Now you just drop my name of that fact. I know you hate me. You got the right to kill me now. I wouldn't blame you if you do. But you have to thank me for I die for the gravel in the guts and the spit in the eye. Cause I'm that son of a that named you Stew.
Yeah. What could I do? What could I do? I got all choked up. I threw down my gun. I called him my pa and he called me his son. I came away with a different point of view. And I think about him now and then. Every time I try, every time I win. If I ever have a son, I think I'm gonna name him. I think I'm gonna name him. I think I'm gonna name him Bill or George or Jim.
Anything but Sue.
I still hate that name.
That was Gordon Roberts and his amazing ukulele orchestra. Gordon, how could you be in so many places at once? That's fantastic.
The magic of the internet.
Yes,
Kind
fantastic.
of cracky. It's a program called Acapella. It's actually a lot of fun. If you're a musician, you should try it out because you can
Acapella. the program.
send it to people, and they send it back, and you just record, and then you end up with ridiculous stuff like that. Thank you to Ken and Ruth, by the way, who just did an amazing job. Totally amazing.
Well, it reminds me of that old adage, how can you be in 20 places at once when you're nowhere to begin with at all?
Story of my life.
Thank you, Gordon. That was fantastic. Our next performer comes to us from Tacoma Park, and he's a long time been teaching a number of classes at Common Ground, almost from the very beginning. And we especially enjoy his class, Music and Healing. Jesse's worked a lot with people who have struggled with disease and in their final stages. He's a great gift to many people. Make welcome Jessie Paladamski.
Thanks, Walt. It's great to be here. Another year of Common Ground, and so grateful for the way that Common Ground keeps alive the spirit of the civil rights movement, one of the most amazing times in the history of this country. And I'm especially grateful for Pam and Charlie for their classes, and now Rhonda Rucker's wonderful new book, Welcome to Birmingham, set in the 1960s in Birmingham, Alabama, when Police Commissioner Bull Connor set loose attack dogs and aimed fire hoses at elementary and high school students protesting nonviolently for their civil rights. This is a song called Another Black Man Cut Down. Another black man cut down by Bull Connor's white hooded ghost. Same rerun plays on and on. Check your local listings, coast to coast, and the president's hateful lies. Gasoline on the fire, like Nero in Roman times, cheering the flames higher and higher. Is this the proud American dream, blazing on a funeral pyre? I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe my brother's desperate plea. I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, cries Lady Liberty. It's America's original sin, time for long overdue amends. But this reality show president, the Ku Klux Klan's best friend, Abe Lincoln bristles in his grave. The Civil War never, ever, 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 ever ends. Another black man cut down by Bull Connor's white hooded ghost. Same rerun plays on and on and on. Check your local listings, coast to coast. I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe my brother's desperate plea. I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, cries Lady Liberty. Thank you. Thanks to Pablo Peregrina for helping to write that song.
Thank you, Jessie Paladamski. Thanks so much. So much to consider these days, isn't there? Our next performer comes to us all the way from Nova Scotia. Wow. And it was much easier for her to be with us this year than it was in years past. It used to be she would drive down or fly to Boston and then drive down. But gosh, she's broadcasting from the, the comfort of her home, I would suppose. Shannon was with us a few years back, and she's been performing for 16 years. She won the Roots Traditional Album of the Year and New Artist Recording of the Year at the Music Nova Scotia Awards. If you know anything about Nova Scotia, you know that it is replete with traditional music. So to win such an award is really quite something. A lot of the music from Scotland that died out in Scotland actually ended up in New Scotland, Nova Scotia, and it's from there that a lot of these great traditions have thrived and morphed into traditions of their own identity. Now, Shannon has a great love of Irish music as well. And she toured for 3 years with the Paul McKenna Band. We all remember them. So make welcome back finally with us once again. We hope she can be with us in person next year. Shannon Quinn.
Thank you, Walt. Appreciate the nice intro. And I've had such a blast teaching this week. I was teaching some fiddle and voice and Celtic session, and had a great group of students, and I'm really happy to be able to join you guys tonight. So thanks to Walt for having me on the great teaching roster this year. And I'm going to play some Irish reels for you. These come from the west of Ireland. They come from a region called County Clare. These would be very, very prominent in the southwest of Ireland, where my family comes from. So these are 3 reels called Devaney's Goat, The Musical Priest, and The Donegal Lasses.
Thank you, Shannon. That was some fine fiddling. For any of you who've ever tried to pick up a fiddle and play it, do you know how difficult that is to make that instrument sound that good? It was really great to hear you, Shannon. And thank you so much for being on teaching staff this week. And we hope we see you in person the next time we manage to do that. Our next performer comes to us from Florida. And we haven't seen him for a while either. And we were hoping that he would drive up in his amazing blue truck. I don't know if he still has that truck, but it was really something to see. I've seen Bigfoot all over this country. He's one of the great travelers and great mountain dulcimer players. He plays it like no one else and brings a lot of different music to that instrument. Make welcome all the way from Florida, Bigfoot.
Thank you, Walt. Thank you. It's such an honor to be with you guys again virtually. Thanks to you, Maria, my point of contact people, everybody else who made this thing happen and brought it to life. Had a great time this week, and with my students, with Beyond Beginning Mountain Dulcimer and Mountain Dulcimer Smorgasbord. And in both of those workshops, we dug into the blues quite a bit. The blues as a folk music, the blues as a salve for the soul, and the blues as a stepping stone towards rock and roll, country, gospel, bluegrass, and so many other types of forms. And so learning blues is like learning about, the cradle of life for music all over the place in the Western civilization. So I'm going to play some blues tonight for my students and for all of us who are feeling, with the current circumstances, a little like we need the blues. This is kind of a fill-in-the-blank blues. It can be very specific like the blues, but can also suggest other things. Have you ever seen a snake creeping down the street? Have you ever seen a snake creeping down the street? Take a hard look, woman. That's what you done to me. Have you ever seen a dog that ain't got nothing to eat? Have you ever seen a dog that ain't got nothing to eat? Take a hard look, woman. That's what you done to me. Have you ever seen a bird someone shot down from a tree? Have you ever seen a bird someone shot down from a tree? Take a hard look, woman. That's what you done to me. man, baby. I treat you right. Buy you lots of nice things, no matter the price. I make love to you, babe, most every night. It don't make no sense why you can't treat me right. Have you ever seen a man laying dead as dead can be? Have you ever seen a man laying dead as dead can be? Take a hard look, woman, that's what you done to me. Thank you guys so much. God bless you. Stay safe out there. Be well. Happy Independence Day weekend. Thank you, Walt.
Thank you, Bing. Thanks so much for being with us again this year. That was great, man. The blues on the dulcimer, I got pretty blue there. And we wish you well, and you stay safe down there in Florida. That state's got me a little bit scared if I'm reading about Florida. Man, oh man. People need to get away from the beach. Sit in their yards and play their dulcimers. Come on, get this social distancing thing going. What's wrong with those people? There are a bunch of crazy people everywhere in this country right now. God, everybody wants to get together and drink. Why don't they just stay by themselves and drink? Make themselves happy. I don't know. I could go on a rant right now, but I'm not going to. Our next performer, I've known for a long time. She's long been a pillar in the folk music scene and also in the education scene, where she brings her knowledge of how to integrate the arts into teaching, to make the classroom a living place, a learning place. And so I also remember, and I'm not reading it in your bio, Sally, but I do seem to remember that you were among the first of women you were among the first group of women to visit China back in the 1980s, as I remember. And I remember thinking, how wonderful that was. But make welcome, everyone, Sally Rogers.
Well, thank you, Walt. I wasn't one of the first women in 1980s to go there, but I went with, I've been there twice, once to perform and a second time with an education delegation from the state of Connecticut. And that first time was in 1999, the second time was in 2004. And it was quite an experience. And I ended up teaching at a Chinese immersion charter school for a while, Pioneer Valley Chinese Immersion Charter School. But mostly what I'm doing these days is singing. And Bing, I must say, I sent my beginning dulcimer students to your website. I gave them a whole list of dulcimer players, everything from Gene Ritchie and Homer Ledford to Bing Futch. I think that sort of takes the gamut. And hopefully they all enjoy it. I had a great time this week teaching. In fact, I was sad when today's classes ended. Mine ended at noon. Mine ended at noon, and then Howie and I got in the car and drove to Lee, Massachusetts, which is where I am now. And if you notice behind me, there's a chalkboard. We're in an old parochial school. We're staying in a bed and breakfast in Lee, Massachusetts called the Chambry Inn. And it's an old parochial school, and we've got chalkboards in our bedroom. It's truly wonderful. And we arrived here and our room wasn't ready. So we thought we'd just go down and sit outside a local cafe and have a cup of coffee and then come back. So that's what we did. We drove down to downtown Lee. We went into the Starving Artists Cafe, which seemed ever so appropriate. And before we left the car, Howie said, "Oh, you're parked crooked." So I turned the car on again, only the car didn't go on again. The car did not even go on at all. And so we thought, well, okay, we'll deal with this later. So we go inside, and suddenly it occurred to me that my 4 o'clock Song a Day Keeps the Virus Away was about to happen, and I needed to be there. and I was in the Starving Artist Cafe. So I asked them if I could broadcast my little one song a day program from the Starving Artist Cafe, since there was nobody else there except for 3 people at one end, far end of the room. So that's what they did. They turned off the music, and I sat there and I sang my one song, and I made the woman at the end of the room weep. So it was really quite the experience. And meanwhile, it was pouring down rain. And when the rain stopped, we went back out to the car. Car started. We went back to this very room, and here I am, ready to sing for you a song that was inspired by the words of Dorothy Day. Dorothy Day said, "There's no time to feel hopeless when there's so much work to do." And it does have a chorus, so I urge you all to sing the chorus. I'll sing it twice every time. You learn to read one word at a time, one word at a time. You learn to read one word at a time until your book is through. You learn to swim one stroke at a time, stroke at a time. Learn to swim one stroke at a time, and then you can cross the pool. There's no time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless when there's so much work to do. Try it again. No time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless when there's so much work to do. You walk 10 miles, one step at a time, one step at a time. You walk 10 miles, one step at a time until your journey's through. You build a house, one brick at a time, one brick at a time. Build a house, one brick at a time, and then you enjoy the view. There's no time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless when there's so much work to do. Try it. There's no time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless when there's so much work to do. Now we live our lives one breath at a time, one breath at a time. Live our lives one breath at a time until our time is through. We'll fix this world one mess at a time, one mess at a time. We'll fix this world one mess at a time. Together we'll all pull through. There's no time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless when there's so much work to do. Last time. No time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless, no time to feel hopeless when there's so much work to do. And I want to thank all of the volunteers at Common Ground on the Hill, especially Walt and especially Rex, who's you can't see, but he's making sure that we all have our videos on and our mutes off and everything like that. And Maria Wong in the office, which isn't the office, it's her house right now. And all the many people who have made this possible, turning a huge festival into a virtual one virtually overnight is no easy task. Please, all of you who've enjoyed this week's Common Ground on the Hill, you can check in for next week and the week after. You can sign up for one class, you can sign up for the whole week, or you can come next year to a live festival right at McDaniel College and have a ball with the rest of us. So thank you very much and good night. Be safe, be well.
Thank you, Sally Rogers. Say hello to Howie for us. I hope he's got that banjo in tune. And maybe you all should go back to that cafe and make them cry again. I mean, the only time I was able to make anybody cry with my music was, when I left, because they were so happy. They were tears of joy for me leaving. But that sounds like a cool place. I'd like was it the Starving Artist Cafe? So thank you so much, Sally, for being with us and for, as they say, for playing ball with us and being on the team. And yes, that was an amazing, it's an amazing team with Maria Wong and Matt Vincent in our office, Pam Zappardino herding all of the teacher cats, and of course, Linda Van Hart, bringing her expertise and bringing the art world into all of this work. And, there's just so many people who have helped out, and we're just a third of the way through. So yes, it's still not too late to sign up. And for you instructors who have been here this week, you're not going anywhere. You might want to drop in on some classes, and we'd be happy to help that make that happen for you so that you can continue to be with us. Our final performer tonight comes to us from Massachusetts, from Cape Cod, and he for many years has been what should I say, encouraging people to look inside, step out, step in. He's run a number of camps. He's been at the Omega Institute and his own camp. I hope he'll tell you more about that so that you can join him there. But I've always enjoyed every moment spent with David Roth. He inspires us, and he asks us to do good work. Make welcome, in closing us out tonight, David Roth.
Hi, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here. And it's how wonderful to hear Sally and Bing and all these other amazing artists, and to be closing for them. So I'm going to wrap this whole thing up with one song tonight. And of course, one wonders when you're a songwriter, as I have been for the last 30 plus years, what's the song I'm going to pick? What's the thing I want to leave people with? Well, there are lots of subjects. I want to thank all my songwriting students this week. On the first day, which was Monday, all 10 of us looked at each other on the screen, and I basically said, "Hi, everybody. I am here to teach that which cannot be taught." And then everybody kind of looked at me, and I asked the class, "Well, why would the teacher say something like that to you?" And I didn't fill in the awkward silence by answering right away. And then gradually the discussion came around to the idea that, well, songwriting is a very personal thing. And since we all are viewing the world through different lenses, everybody will have a unique viewpoint. So this is where I write from, where I speak from. Walt asked me to mention what else was going on very briefly. I'm part of a songwriting camp called Summer Songs. I'm actually the director of it now, since my dear friend Penny Nichols passed away 3 years ago. And I've been with her since the beginning there in 1999. So when all this Common Ground Hill stuff is over, and I'm going to be sneaking in on some classes next week, because I've got a fiddle and an accordion and a dulcimer and all kinds of stuff around world headquarters of David Roth Music, and I'm itching to learn how to play these things. But I want to leave you tonight, again, with my thanks to Walt and to Maria and Matt and everybody who hits the ground running. I think they are to be applauded for their courage in tackling such an undertaking. Many camps that I have my radar out for just simply canceled till next summer. And this organization went forward and say, "Hey, we got to try this," and I believe you gotta try. So I commend you all. Hope the piano's coming through. This is a song that was inspired by a talk I heard by Robert F. Kennedy in 2007. He is from the Kennedy family, not a politician, but rather an environmental activist attorney. And he asked us to think about what we stand for and what we believe in. So thank you again, one and all. I stand for love, stand for peace, I stand for joy and for release, for what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope, I stand for you, I stand for love. I stand for peace. I stand for joy and for release. For what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope. I stand for you. You know our world is in great pain. She needs our loving care again. But there are those who fail to see what we have done and what we need. There is a cost for every act, and now there is no turning back. We burn a bridge, we bang a drum. It's time to rise, the time has come. To stand for love, to stand for peace, to stand for joy and for release. For what is beautiful and true, to stand for hope, to stand for you. And if you're thinking it's not urgent, that we've got more time to kill, if I'm not the one who will change things, then for heaven's sake, who will? So I will move and I will climb this mountain one step at a time. I won't be swayed, I will not stop until we've made it to the top, where we will stand for love and peace. We stand for joy and for release. For what is beautiful and true, we'll stand for hope. We'll stand for you. For what is beautiful and true, I stand for hope. I stand for you.
Thank you, David Roth. I think we have our marching orders. We have our marching orders to do well, to be the bright light that enters a room. Let's all be that. Let's go forth from this week and be the smile in the Zoom. And let's get our work done. Let's represent our brothers and sisters and clean this mess up. And if you need some more inspiration, come on back. We've got 2 more weeks happening. Refer back to our concerts. They're all online. Tell friends about them. And let's look forward to things. Let's look forward and stand up and get the work done. There's so much to be done. Thank you all so much for being here. And we'll see you again on Monday. Take care now.